All right, we're back. I want to talk about the Montreal Canadiens. Michel Therrien, you're a coach. You would have experience with this. You two as well, Greg. You have both Carey Price and PK Subban, who have been very synonymous with the low five. It's a thing they do before or after games, after wins, rather. Not all the time, but just after wins, before they head into the locker room. Now, the issue with Michel Therrien is he feels that it's showing up the other team, and it's disrespectful. And he said if you wanted to really do something, it should be inclusive with everybody. So instead of low-fiving everybody on your team, which would take forever to get off the ice, he's decided to salute the fans and go dive to center ice to have a team concept. Is this right, or is Michel Therrien basically on the right path here, or do you feel that maybe he went a little too far? Because it's a thing that Carey Price and PK do, and the fans enjoy it too.
Yeah, it's I think what he's trying to do is just establish an identity within their locker room that we're all in this together. Trying to create that team atmosphere. Has he gone a little too far? I mean, I don't see what the big deal is. Where fans and that crave the passion and excitement from the stars of the game. I don't see the big deal of it, but I get where Therrien's coming from, and that's the image he's trying to create within their locker room.
Yeah, I can see the team aspect of things, and he wants the team to get together and celebrate after a victory, and not singlify Subban and Price. But at the same time, we're putting so much into Yakupov, his celebration last week in Edmonton, and it was a big, why did he do that? Well, because he was excited and he's a young kid. It's entertaining. You have to realize in hockey and any other sport, it's an entertainment. It's an entertaining sport. You have to entertain your fans. You have to entertain your sponsors. And if they go over the board, they're not showing up the other team. They're just in the moment.
What can you say about the Montreal Canadiens, especially their young guns like Galchenyuk is one of them, who's played phenomenally well. A lot of bright spots with this team. What can you say about their performance thus far to the season?
It's been exciting to watch. I mean, anytime you have young guys come in and inject some pizzazz and a lot of energy into a lineup, it's very entertaining to see. And the fans of Montreal, as passionate as they are, they've really embraced those young guys. And at the end of the day, you see the game changing over the last few years. These young players coming in at 18, 19-year-old that can really make an impact in their team's success, and I think it's great for the game.
I think the Canadiens are a fun team to watch. Like Jason says, they're a young team. They have some excitement, and now they also have a little bit of grit too, which a lot of times you haven't seen the Canadian squads over the last number of years. So they have a little bit of sandpaper up front and out back, and they're a fun team to watch, and it'll be interesting to see as the season unfolds how deep they're going to go.
Ryan Whitney became a healthy scratch for the first time in his career. Yesterday, wasn't pleased with it, but I imagine no player would be if you were told, I'm sorry, buddy, even though you're healthy, if you're not playing today, you'll have to see something up on the press box. But what do you do in this situation if you're Ralph Kruger and the Oilers? Because you have a guy who's diminished in terms of skill set. Maybe it's just a confidence issue because of his injuries that he's had in the past. But your liabilities have been on the back end this season. What do you do to Ryan Whitney? Is this just more so a wake-up call?
Absolutely. I think the coach is coaching, right? He's the guy that pulls the strings on the team and gets the best lineup in that he feels gives him a chance to win. Is it disappointing? Absolutely. As a veteran like Ryan Whitney is, I'm sure he is disappointed. And if he wasn't, that would be a cause for concern. But I don't see the big deal in it. It's not like he's a franchise type player like you're sitting down Nugent Hopkins because he hasn't scored. I mean, he's a journeyman defenseman. They need him to be better, and I think that they're hopeful that he's going to get a wake up call and take a chance to reflect on his game and where he needs to get better. And I think at the end of the day, as they move down throughout the season, I think Ryan Whitney needs to be an integral part of that team for them to have success. Doing it now, not a big deal.
I think more than anything, too, it shows that they're holding the players accountable in Edmonton. There was so much hype coming into this season that the Oilers are going to be this and that. And they're showing that, they still have a lot of work in the back end. There was a lot of questions last year regarding their defensive core, and there's more questions coming into this season. As much as their front end looks fantastic, at the same time, they don't have a lot of grit in the front end, don't have a lot of grit in their back end. and somebody has to be held accountable, and he's one of the first, probably a few players that may be sitting in the press box watching.
Hey, you guys mentioned Mike Rupp was traded from the Rangers to the Wild. Would have been a nice guy to add to that lineup.
Oh,
He's in the
exactly,
front
yeah,
end
yeah.
for, like you say, sandpaper. Let's move to the Vancouver Canucks. And what can you say about Roberto Luongo? He was given his 4th straight start, played brilliantly against the Edmonton Oilers in the 3-2 comeback win. Was it smart not to trade Roberto Luongo in this case? And is it smart, again, to keep him around?
Well, I think they have to keep him around for the time being. I mean, you know, he's established himself as one of the top goalies in the league once again. You know, leading their team to a pretty impressive record. You know, the one thing that you know, a lot of times people and teams in particular are ready to anoint the next young guy as the guy. You know, there's a bit of a mental block, I think, for Corey Schneider that he needs to fight through and overcome. You know, you're the backup guy, you're the most popular guy in town. It's like the backup quarterback. You know, the main guy's not playing. Well, let's get Schneider in. He goes in, and there's not a lot of expectations on him. He goes in and plays well. You know, goes into the playoffs, has a good run. You know, everybody comes back the following year and anoints this guy as he's our guy. Now that the expectations are totally different. You know, you are expected to be the guy. There's you know, performance pressure to be the man, and you know, a lot of these young guys, you know, Braden Holtby, I think, is another example of that. You know, great guy, great competitor, same type of thing. Had a good run in the playoffs last year. Was anointed as the next guy for their team, and you know, he's starting to come around now. But I think there's a transition period where, you know, these guys come in and there's expectations different than what they've ever faced with before in their career, and it takes some time for them to work their way through that.
Yeah, what the pressure that Schneider felt last year to compare to the pressure that he's facing this year, totally different, you know. And going into this season, there was so much talk that when are they going to trade Bobby Lou? When are they going to trade Bobby Lou? They can't trade him now. They seriously can't, because he's their number one guy. And like, you know, Jason, if you have a number one goalie and he's hot, you have to keep on going with him. And until he falters and Schneider can pick up the load and go with it, then I think Bobby Lou could be a Vancouver Canuck until fall of next year.
Yeah, he's been the saving grace so far, especially in a 48-game season. All right, we're going to take another quick timeout here, and we'll have Over Under coming up.